Hey everyone, and welcome to another PHP MySQL JavaScript tutorial. So what I have here is basically like a live search bar. Imagine, so the scenario we're going with is we have a restaurant, we've got a website, and we got a search bar, and the customers can search what kind of dish that we cater, we cook. So I'll just show you too. This is the example menu, and let's say I just want to know about order hamburger. So you can see that it searches instant as on key up the hamburger dishes that we have. So we got normal hamburger, 2 buns and a patty, $18. American hamburger, sort of that. So the output is not very pretty, and that's not meant to be the focus of this tutorial, but it's actually the the inner working of it. So what we're doing is using jQuery. So you need to know a little bit of JavaScript, and then we use a technique called AJAX. And it's an asynchronous uh, call to the server side, so we don't have to reload the page. And then we have PHP on the other end to connect to MySQL database. Okay, so yeah, that's what it's kind of output, the name of the dish, some description, and the price. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. All right, so let's start by what we do. We'll open your IDE. So this is the finished code. It's basically not that one. It's basically get this one two files. So we have an index page and we got a search query. So we'll start by we'll leave that there, and then we'll create a new folder called restaurant 2. So this is the one that we're gonna be working in. Okay, right. So let's leave that there. I'm just gonna copy this URL and add to this O2. Okay, so this is where we're gonna be. Um, uh, this is our index page. Obviously, there's nothing there because we haven't created it. So let's create that. So index.php. Great. And might as well create the file called search query.php. Okay, so for anyone who's not familiar with AJAX and stuff, so what it basically is, we got two pages. We got the index page. Let me just open this up like this side. Put that there. All right, so we got two pages like these. Drag this one down. Two pages like this. So this is where our form is going to be, our search bar is going to be on the index page. And as the customer or the user type in a letter, it gets sent via AJAX to this page, and then it retrieves that term, and then it searches the database. So that's basically it. And so it searches the database, and then the index page would then grab the search result, bring it in, and then we use some JavaScript to output it. Very simple. All right, so what we do, we just refresh this, and while we're at it, we're just going to bring up the search query page also, because what we're going to actually do is start on the search query page. Okay, so I'm just going to grab some login credential. Just going to skip this bit. All right, so I'm just going to grab this. I'll now explain through this part of the This part of the code is not the most important part. As long as you can connect to your database, you do the way that you do it, and no problem there. So I'm using PDO because I find that very nice. It's object orientated. I just prefer PDO to the MySQL. Anyway, so we have a header. So with this header, so basically we're going to return the returned JSON object. So we gonna let this index page know that this whatever returning is a JSON file type kind of thing. It's the content type is JSON. So that's why we have a header here saying this is a JSON. We'll be returning JSON objects, some credential and connection. This is very standard connection settings and code here, so you can just copy that. Yeah, so I won't be running through that because it's a little bit elementary. We're a little bit advanced. If you're watching this, you're looking for more advanced stuff, so we're just skipping through. So, all right, cool. How are we doing for time? 5 minutes. All right, we're trying to get this done at 10 minutes. All right, so firstly, what we do is we put it into a try and catch block of code, so then we can actually output something if there's an error or something like that. All right, so exception B. All right, cool. Now let's do that. All right. So what we're going to do, because it's like a search bar, the terms are very public. It's no sensitive information. So what we're going to be using is the get method instead of post method. So, all right. So what we're going to do, we're going to grab that search term down. So let's create the variable called search term. Yep. Let's do this one. Nah. Sorry. Sorry guys, I'm still figuring out which kind of format that we're going for. Anyways, let's go. All right. So we have firstly we have to check if it's is set. So if the get method is set, so I'm going to put in search term. So now where did I get this from? Well, I'm going to define it later in the JavaScript side of things. So it can be anything, could be query or whatever, but whatever you type here, you're going to make sure you put that in the parameters, the exact word. So we're going to put it as query. Query is a little shorter to type. Okay, so if the user sent a get request, okay, now great. So we're going to grab that. So query. Actually, the problem with using the word query is that because I'm going to be writing a MySQL query, that could be confusing. So I'm actually just going to go back to search term. Oops. There we go. So we get the search term. Now, in a real application, what you actually want to do is to clean this up, make sure that there is no hashes and all of that that's going to ruin your database. And that's a more security thing. We're just going to skim over all of that, and we're just going to say, right, we trust this user. We want not going to tenatize that at all. Cool. So we get that search term, and what we want to do is because let me bring up, so I created the database here already, so you can just create a mock database. You can copy that code there if you want. So it got in there because now we're going to be using the where dish name like, if you're not sure what that means. So where this dish name like, we're going to be using the wildcard like this. Okay, so let's say ham wildcard like that. All right, so let's just run that query. All right, so now we're going to be using, so we need to add the percentage sign to our search term. So if the search term is enclosed in 2% between 2 percentage sign, this means like search anywhere in the string. There we go. Oh god. There we go. All right. So now let's create a query, which I usually use my shorthand for query. All right. So let's just select. We want to select everything from, and our table is called restaurant. Restaurant. Where, and we want to just search by the dish name. Dish name like, and now instead of putting the search term in there, which is fine, but it's not very secure. So this is the only way. This is the only kind of security method I'm going to show you in this tutorial. So you can use the question mark here, saying like, we'll give you the search term when we do the do the execution. All right, so query, and then we go, let's create that statement by using the connection variable, which we define up here. There we go, connection. And then we go prepare. What are we preparing? We're preparing that query, returning a statement, and we're going to execute it. Execute. And then here is where we put the parameter, that one that we define what do we think, which is the search term. So array. Then because you actually in the execute you actually have to put in an array. You can't just put a single term in. Even if there's only one parameter, you got to put it in an array. Search term. There we go. Cool. All right. So now what we want to do is fetch it. Okay. So we'll get the result. Now we fetch everything because we want to fetch everything to return. Okay. Fetch all, and I like to fetch it as an associative array. So we'll put in that. Oops. There we go. All right. And all we need to do now is actually print it as a JSON encoded dot object. So print JSON encode, okay, and you're gonna put it like that. Go. Okay, so what are we putting here? So we put the status of the request, which is a success, and you got to define. So the JSON encode function takes in an associative array. So this is as an associative array. So true, so which means success is we are successful. And then we go dishes, and we go results. There you go, done. That's it. And that's our backend done. Now we're just gonna quickly finish this off by saying if it's not successful in any way, maybe connection drop out from our database or whatever, we're gonna return, like you guessed it, we were not successful, so success equals false, and then we actually will give them an error message saying A is the exception and get message is a function. Ooh. Okay, now we can actually test this without building the front end, and I'll show you how. Because we're using a get method, and that's one of the reason why I chose the get method, so I can actually demonstrate to you how if our code is working without building the front end. What we do, we go to our search query.php question mark saying I'm going to show you a query, and now remember that search term. Ooh, okay, so we type that straight into this URL. Search term equal, and let's see, hamburger sounds good. Hamburger. There you go. So we know that the code, backend code, is actually working. It's bringing up hamburger and American hamburger. Fantastic. For those who can't see, there it is. Looking good. All right, cool. So we know that it's working. And if you want to try again, we can go pasta. There you go. We got Italian pasta and pasta ravioli. I'm not a cook. I'm a coder. I'm not a cook. So I'm just making up names of maybe food I've eaten in the past. Great. So done. Simple as that. And we're going for time. Hopefully we don't stretch this out to 15 minutes. Oh, all right, cool. Now this is very, very simple. Very simple. So we're just gonna get rid of the H and we're gonna type it in. HTML header. Sorry about that. Just AJAX tutorial, something like that. Great. Okay. Now we need. Okay, so we're using jQuery. So to get jQuery, we're going to use the CDN. So we're using jQuery CDN. Just go to grab that one. And I'm just going to grab uncompressed one. Grab that code. Now just, okay, so grab that code. Now for those of you who new to web development, usually we try to put the script towards the end because we want to make sure the page is low, then the script will have time to load, otherwise you have a lag. It's very unresponsive. All right, so that's why I put the script tag below the body tag. Okay, now we're not going to do an external JavaScript file. We're just going to type it straight into here, keep it simple. There we go. All right, so if you go to this one, you should see no change. Now let's bring up the developer panel so we have a look at the console. So we're just going to quickly test if our jQuery is working. I know it does because I already do this. So, and make sure you, so with jQuery, always encase all your code in a document.ready function, because you want to make sure that no function has been loaded unless the document is ready, unless you got some reason why that you want that to happen. So the way we just test this, we just say hello world. So we should see this in the log. Reload. There we go. So jQuery is working. Comment that out. Okay. Now what do we do? All right, let's create an input. Yeah, doesn't matter. Text, yeah, sure, whatever. And we could put a placeholder in. Search a dish like that. And what we do, create an output div ID, and we'll call it result output. Okay, we'll leave it there, and we'll just refresh that. There you go, search a dish. Great. Now, what we want to do that every time the user type and let go of the key, we grab that value. So the way to do it. Now again, this is not a jQuery tutorial, so if you're not sure of some of the syntax, I'll go do a quick tutorial on jQuery and then come back to this. It will make more sense. So I'm just going to give us some screen space. There we go. All right, so now what we're going to do is we want to try to, let's put an ID on that. Say search bar. So we're going to grab by ID, the element by ID, search bar. And what we're going to do is on key up. So when the user let go of the key, on key up, we will perform this function. Oops, we will perform an event function. There you go. Okay, so now what we're going to do is store that term. So search term. Let's do it this way. Search term equals. Now we need to grab that element. So we can do it like this. So this is one way to do it. So because so it will grab the target of that event, which is the search bar. Okay, and dot val to get the value, and we're just going to console log that out so then we can see if it's actually working. Okay, let's refresh. Hard refresh. There we go. Oh, sorry, it's still loading. You can see that. Let's try that again. Okay, so you can see that it's coming up. Hello, over here. There you go. So it is working. Right, now what we want to do is actually use AJAX now. So we're ready. So we're using the get method. So this is the shorthand for the AJAX get request. Okay. So for simplicity's sake, there's three main arguments you got to put into this get method. The first one is the URL that we're passing this search term to, which is our search query.php, and you can see that it's in the same directory, so we don't need anything more than that. So the URL, there we go. Next thing we don't need is an object to store the parameters. Okay. Now this is where I said before in the beginning, this is important that you get this name exactly, which is search term. Copy, put that in there. And then this is the identifier of see what's going on here. Because I code a lot more in PHP than in JavaScript, so sometimes I put the this $sign in front of my variables, which is not cool. It won't work. There you go. Oh, it did work, didn't it? Yeah. Anyways, so we're sending search term as a it's an object. So yeah, so the parameters and object parameters. So we can grab, we can access that by the key here. Okay, so we have a function to what to do when we receive the data back. Use the function. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is just going to show you that it works, and then and then I'll give you the code for like output it to the screen because I don't want to drag this on for too long. All right, so we have the search term. We'll get the result. So what we just do is console log and get that result, and this should work. All right, so it's going to refresh this page. Oh, so we're still loading. So again, oh, all right, let's see. Okay, what's going on here? So it's saying this is not found. It's actually not search term, it's search query page. So our URL is wrong. Here we go. Try that one more time. Let it load, let it load. Yep. Here we go. Success. It's true. So we got 2 dishes. That is the ham. There we go. Okay. So our code works. Now, actually, I'll do it. All right. You know what? I'm just gonna grab that. Yeah. There we go. Let's grab this code. Nope, not the search term code. Index. All right. So we're just gonna grab this. And I'll explain through it. So we did that. All right. So from here, this function there. Here you go. That's all we need. All right. So what we're doing here is our result is the array with the success and the dishes. So there's an array inside the array. So we want the dishes array. So what we do is we isolate that by result of dishes. And then we just loop through the use a for loop to loop through all the elements in there, and then just format it nicely inside like a span element. So you got the dish name, description, and price. Then you append that to a element. This one. Now I just have to show you this one. I need this part too. All right. Right there. Okay. So what we do is so we grab result output, which is this one. I think got the same name. So let's just do that. Result output like that. Okay, so grab the so we get a reference through that div. What we do is we create a div, another div, which we will put inside the result output div, and we call it results. So what we need to do is, if we need to remove it first. Otherwise, what you have to use, let me just remove this. If I don't have that, what happens is it keeps adding on. Okay. And let me just I put this result. That's fine. Result output. Yep. Dish. What's going on? It was working before. Now it's not. Search term. Let's put that back in there. God. Here you go. Okay. Dishes. Dish ID, dish name. Yeah, be correct dishes. Not here. So a lot of a lot of what you do in programming is actually debugging code. That should be fine. I'm not sure why it's not outputting. So and then we append here. Just output string. But mm-hmm. Okay. So what's happening? Dish output string span removed. Okay. So it should think it doesn't work. This is dish name hamburger. I don't know, guys. I don't know why it's not working. The code is exactly the same. No, you know why? I'm missing this. So you actually okay. Oh, there you go. So what happened there was this. So when we type, I'm just gonna run through this code. I'm just gonna put that code there on this side. It's over. So what happens is that when we type something, what it does is it grabs that value. It grabs that value. So this is the thing. So it grabs that value, all right? And it does a few things. It's a little bit jumpy. So what it does is remove the existing display, existing gone. Then it creates another element, a new element, right? No, first grab the reference to this box here, which we won't remove. And then what it does is create a new element called result, div element called results. Then it removes any existing div element results, div results element. All right. And then when we do is we attach that to the results output. This is a very poor way to output information, but I just want to show you how it works. All right. So anyway, so it jumps, get down here. So then it go send a get request to search the PHP with the search term that we type in here, which is H. All right, and then it jumps over here. It query the database on this side, and then returns the result, and then which is then get and then this side grabs that result. Then we just isolate the dishes part instead of the success part because we don't do any validation here, and then we just loop through it, um, put into a span element, and then append it to the results output. Okay, and that's how you get this kind of responsive kind of thing, and that's how it works. Alright guys, it's not very well. Oh, 30 minutes, that's far too long. Anyways, I'm not gonna do this again. I hope if I'm gonna do it again, I'm gonna do it a better example than this. I think it's a pretty good example, just a little bit long-winded. Anyways, before it gets to 30 minutes, hope you learned something from that. If you don't, I'm so sorry. If you do, fantastic. create your own thing, muck around. Programming is absolutely fun. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, have a good night.